Yeah.
Welcome back to the show, Tim.
Thanks for having me. I was just telling him, I was like, the guests you guys have been getting right now have been crazy. Congrats. You guys are killing it. Yeah.
Well, none of them are better than you.
Yeah.
Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Let's get it. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam. Sean on the mic, very flat too. Keep you updated, that's what we do. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Pro fans, tune into the program. Every single week, get the dope, fam.
Yo, what up, everybody? It's your boy John Altidor with Pro Fan Sports Podcast. Back at you with another one with my boys, finally, Vlad, Barry, and, a very special guest. I guess we're doing something right because he's coming back to the show. WBZ Sports Anchor, 98.5 Sports Hubs, Tim Mckone, man. How's everything, Tim?
I know. Thanks for having me on again, guys. I appreciate it. Had a lot of fun last year when I was on with you guys. So excited to be jumping on, talking some sports with you guys. Pumped.
Yeah, I mean, like we were saying, you were one of our first guests, and we couldn't believe that you was like, hey, I'll come on. We're like, what? That's crazy, and several guests later, you're coming back, man. So we're really appreciative of that right there. And who better to talk about the Celtics other than yourself, man. Celtics right now, we got a game tonight where we're recording this on a Monday. We got a game in a couple of hours, but the storyline for this whole series right now is the Celtics have pretty much won every single quarter except for two, and yet we're down 2-1 in this series, looking at going down 3-1 if we don't win the series tonight. What's your thoughts on this series, and what have we been doing wrong?
Yeah, I mean, like, you're right. They've only lost 2 quarters. The problem is they lost both those quarters by what, like a combined 65 points, something crazy. I mean, it's not even competitive. It's that third quarter and then that first quarter. And I'm a big guy where I when I'm watching basketball, if you get down 10 early, I'm like, don't worry about it, you're fine. But I was watching with my buddy, and I'm like, at a certain point, like down 25 is kind of a big deal. Like you're digging yourself into a hell of a hole here in Game 3. So. Look, you could definitely have someone better on to talk Celtics than me because I thought it was going to be Celtics in 5. I thought they were going to have no problems with the Heat, and obviously, that it has been it's been a different series than I thought. I still think they are way more talented than Miami, and I think they ultimately win this series because I still look at the ability that the Celtics have had in the postseason to bounce back from adversity. And so I'll go back to the series against Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Felt like those guys were kind of the big brother that kind of beat you guys up time and time again. And in Game 1, Kyrie starts to go off at the end of the third quarter, beginning of the fourth quarter, and time again over the last year plus, we saw this was a team that kind of folded in that type of situation. They bounce back. They go on to sweep those guys. You go back to the series with Milwaukee and coming off of Game 5 and that devastating loss at home, and another opportunity where you're going back to Milwaukee, elimination game. No one's going to blame you if you kind of fold up shop and go home. Instead, they battle back. They win that series. So I expect them to bounce back after Game 3. I do. I still think they win this series. But I give Miami credit. Like that Heat culture thing, I've made fun of it in the past. But when you've got guys like a PJ Tucker, like that's just a dude that you want on your team. I think that's kind of what it comes down to. They have a lot of those type of players, and so it's been a little more challenging than I anticipated. I don't know about you guys though. Like I look at the Nets and I look at the Bucks, and it's like I'm terrified of Durant, I'm terrified of Kyrie, I'm terrified of Giannis. There's nobody on Miami that I'm like, oh, I'm worried they're going to take over. Jimmy Butler's a nice player, I get it, but like he's not on the level of those other guys in terms of me being like terrified he could take this game over. Shows you what I know about basketball because obviously that hasn't been the case. So I expect them to bounce back today like they have. But, yeah, this series has not gone the way. I don't know about you guys. I didn't see this coming in the series with Miami.
I'm right there with you, as far as facing the Nets and then the Bucks. You had the Nets. They played hard, and they got the scores that we got to worry about. And then, Milwaukee got these trees, that's in the paint and you can barely get in there. And I feel like we've been able to score at will at times this series, but yet it's like something happens. The 2 quarters we're talking about that, I don't know. We just like forget how to play basketball or something like that.
Jalen can't dribble. Right. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah.
Miami got 19 steals. 19 steals last game. And I'm like, 19 steals? Like, at some point in the game, you're like, dude, take care of the fucking ball. Like, what is happening?
Yeah.
And making Victor Oladipo look like Drew Holiday or something like that. And, I'm like, well, what is going on? And I heard Jaylen Brown talk about, there was a lot of hand checking going on. Did you see any of that? And, is that just an excuse, or is he trying to, get the refs to be aware of that?
Look, it's funny you bring up the ref thing too, because I understand it, and maybe in the regular season it's a big deal, but like Jason Tatum bitching about the refs all the time, like at a certain point, it's like, dude, just get back on defense. Like, just get back. It's gonna even out.
Facts.
Just stop bitching about the refs, man. And that's been an issue. And no, I don't buy the hand checking thing either. Like, look, you're right. And here's the crazy thing too. You're down 2-1 in this series, but like, it felt like the Nets and the Bucks, like you had to be competitive. Like game 2 was not competitive. Like you blew them out. Like you go down early in that game, but from like, I would say 4 minutes left in the first quarter throughout, that game was not competitive. So like you see where the ceiling is for this team, and I just think you're head and shoulders better than this team. And like you said, it's these 2 quarters where you're like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what to say. Like you said, turn the ball over, just like absolute disasters. And so I don't know what to make of that, but it's been wild.
Yeah, man. And now, I mean, last series, it was obviously up and down, back and forth, and things like that. And I was under the impression of the way it went that our team would learn from that situation and not let it happen. And now we've seen Jason Tatum, back-to-back game 3s, and he put on a terrible performance. Like, what is happening with Jason in these game 3s?
Look, it's bizarre. You're right, because you go back. What was it? 10 points, I think, in that Milwaukee game 3. So similar type situation, and you're right. So he comes back, he leaves the game with a stinger, comes back, and then 2 brutal turnovers down the stretch. I still thought they were going to play that game out, and then just backbreaking decisions by Tatum there down the stretch in game 3 against Miami. So you're right. He needs to play better. A big reason why, I know everyone's been talking about the defense, but, I've been kind of high on this in terms of, like, you look at the ceiling of what a team's capable of, and you guys go back and look at it. And I've talked about this before, but, throughout, like, the NBA history, outside of the 2004 Detroit team, that's really the one outlier in this whole thing. You go back to, like, 1979, and you could probably go back further. I just, like, don't know a lot about basketball pre-1979. Like, you have to have a top 5 or somebody that's, like, ascending to the top 5 and kind of, like, right in that mix to be on your team. Like, you can't just have all-stars. You have to have kind of an elite level talent if you want to win the championship. And to me, Tatum is in that conversation now. And it's been probably, I would say, since, like, March, where I was like, no, I think he's kind of reached that. And you saw it, like, in game 6 when he goes head-to-head with Giannis and drops 46. Like, he's capable of it, but if you really want to put him in the conversation, like Giannis's bad game 7, you look at his stats, the dude had like 25, 10, and 8, right, and still controlled the game. And you're right, like when Tatum's having off games, it's an off game. It's not like a 25, 10, and 8 and like still controlling it. You're right, he's falling off a cliff, and that's a backbreaker for the Celtics. Like if you really want to be that championship team, he has to play like a top 5 guy for you consistently. And he has for the most part of this postseason, but there have been these outliers, and last game was definitely one of them, no doubt. You're 100% right. Yeah.
I guess my follow-up to that is it the way they're playing him in those games where they're either doubling him or just switching on him? Like, what is it in those games that – I mean, I know Spoelstra, he's good at changing things around and just coming with a different game plan for different games. But what's happening in those games that's making you so frustrated?
No, I don't think it's necessarily that though either, because we talk about those backbreaking turnovers down the stretch, and like, that's not him like attacking or taking a bad shot. Like, it's just like him being careless with the ball. That third quarter in game 1, like a couple of those turnovers, like what do you like, dude? Take care of the basketball. Like those are unforced, just like bad errors on his part. And so I think he just needs to clean it up, get a little bit tighter. And again, like it's hard ripping a dude that dropped 46 in a must-win game, but yeah, like he's not maintained that level that we now know that he's capable of. I think the good news long-term for the Celtics is that I think he is that player moving forward. So like, we spent so long being like, oh, if Tatum and Brown can get to this level, they're good. Well, I think we now know Tatum's going to be that player. So you have a guy in the mix, and that's great. But I don't know about you guys, like the opportunity is there right now to like make a finals. I think you could win a championship. Golden State looks scary as hell right now. I'll say that. I don't know if you guys watched that game, but like,
yeah.
But I think it's on the table, and we also know that like your run in the NBA is never as long as what you think it's going to be. Yeah. So like you can look at this right now and say like, oh, these guys are going to be together for the next 5-6 years. It never winds up working out that way. So if you have an opportunity like this in front of you, like you want this team to take advantage. I also think like you go back to the bubble year when you lost to Miami. I don't know how you guys felt, so I want to get your thoughts on it. But like that one to me felt like a kind of like house money. Like it would be really nice and it feels like it's there. But I wasn't like, oh, this was their time. Like this one to me, like if you lost to this Miami team, I think that's a huge disappointment in my mind, because I think you should take care of business against this Heat team. It's not like, oh, house money, you wound up there. Now I think it's your time. It's your time, and I think they're capable of it. So that's what would be disappointing.
I mean, I think I was very disappointed in the bubble when we did lose. But you're right, it didn't feel like, oh, this is it. But I think here, just the way the team is playing and how good the team is, and I just think, there were questions in the beginning of the year about Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum playing together. They answered those questions in January through March or through April, and I think, unfortunately, if they don't win, I'm not saying those questions are going to be the same, but it's going to be like, yeah, but they haven't won, you know what I mean? And I just don't know what that's going to do to the team. And I feel as though if you win right now, and the way you're playing right now is just sending a message to not only, the NBA, but just to the team that, maybe we can do this again. Maybe we can start something, you know what I mean? So I think it's they have to win. I don't know. That's how I see it.
I'm with you. Like I think like right now, you have to make a statement. I think you're the better team in the East. I'm with you. Like I didn't think this was possible at the beginning of the year, because the sample size has been pretty big. Like we're talking about, you kind of flipped this thing in January is kind of the point where I feel like this kind of turned. But like prior to that, we're talking about like a year and a half where this team was like in the play-in tournament conversation, and you're going like, how the hell is this team still not clicking? And you're right. And since then, it's turned around, and it's a monster opportunity for him right now. I think Ime Udoka has been unbelievable. There isn't a bigger Brad Stevens guy in the world than me. That's my man crush. I love Brad Stevens, loved him at Butler, all that stuff. But they needed a change, obviously. And Ime Udoka has been lights out. And a lot of people talk about him changing the culture. I think from like an X's and O's standpoint, what they've done defensively this year, like I give him a ton of credit for everything. It's not just – and the culture is probably the biggest part of it. But, man, I think he's a hell of a coach just in general. Like you take that part out of it, I think he's phenomenal. Home run hire. And I don't know about you guys. When he started calling out guys like early on in the season and they were losing games, I was like, I don't know if this is going to end well. And now, yeah, I'm all in, and I think it's been lights out. I give him a ton of credit. I think he really is one of the biggest reasons why they're in the position they are right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yep. In the bubble, I think Jason Tatum was in his like second, third year.
Yeah.
And Jaylen, same thing, third year or something like that. Robert Williams played like 12 minutes a game. Grant Williams wasn't breaking Steph Curry, 3-point attempts. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have Al either, and the way we've just been playing is like, listen, you take out the Nets in Milwaukee, and it's like, dude, you should have this in the bag. And I agree, like, if not this year, when?
Facts.
I heard Jason Tatum, he was on maybe JJ Redick's podcast or Draymond Green, where he was like he got spoiled a little bit, to start out his career because he was in the Eastern Conference Finals like 2 out of the 3 years, and I'm like, dude, you're here now. You need to channel that guy and let's go. You know what I'm saying? Especially when Jaylen Brown is dropping 40 points. You need to give me at least 20, man. At least 20. Last time he dropped 46. What Jaylen Brown give you at least 19, 20 points? It's like, listen, you got to do your part, man, no matter what's going on.
I love that. That's such a good point by you because it feels like, when you lose a game where Jaylen goes off for 40, doesn't that kind of feel like it's a wasted like, man, you just wasted that game. It's the same thing. Like if you had lost that Al Horford game when he goes off, you're looking at it going like, damn, like you just wasted. Like you're looking for those type of performances and expecting Tatum to still produce the way that he is, and that's how you win these games. And instead, for him to kind of lay an egg in a game where Jaylen starts to go off and get 40, a quiet 40, but still is 40, like. Yeah, you can't waste those opportunities. I think that's a great point by you. Great point. Yeah. Just
to piggyback on something you said earlier, you were saying that it's hard to criticize somebody that scored 46 points in a decisive game or a game that we needed to win. And I just think we wouldn't have had to win that game if you were consistent throughout the whole series. You know what I'm trying to say? So, and I'm trying to avoid us having that same thing happen again. So, and I feel as though if he had played consistently throughout the whole Bucks series, I'm not saying he wouldn't have gone to 7 games, but I think we would have just played better throughout the whole series. I actually don't think he would have gone to 7 games if Jason Tatum just had been consistent. I think obviously Jason Tatum is a great player and top 5 player in the league, but you can't score less than 15 points in a playoff game. I don't know. You can't do it.
I just think when we talk about top 5 players, I look at Giannis and he just felt like he controls the game, right? Like he's just has a handle on the whole time. And with Tatum, it feels like sometimes he drifts in and out, right? And if you're a top 5 guy, you should be in the mid. I should know you're out there consistently. Yeah. And to your point, there are some times where it still feels like he floats in and out. And like you guys said too, if you get a game from Jaylen where he's going off for 40, man, you can't be the guy that's the reason that the baseline for what the expectation is. And if you got another guy dropping 40, that should be an automatic W for the Celtics. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
I like want it real quick.
Go ahead.
Real quick, I hear what y'all saying about Jaylen Brown dropping 40, and yeah, he was getting buckets. Yeah, he made all his 2-point, field goal attempts, and he was cooking and stuff. But I feel as though he didn't play all that great on Saturday. We have to hold him accountable too. Yeah, you had 40, but if you turning over the ball 7 times and you only have 1 assist, and it's like you got 40, but at the same time, you are also the cause of the problem of why we lost. And it's don't get blind. I don't want y'all to get blinded by that 40-point outburst that he had, and don't want that to, overshadow. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but I don't want kind of that to not also, prevent people from holding him accountable, from criticizing him and calling him out that, just because you had 40, that you still really didn't play as well as you should have. And you know what I'm saying? With him, he's, gotta, be smarter with the ball. You guys said he's too, I don't know whether it's nonchalant or just too, you know what I'm saying, careless with it, but he easily loses the ball when teams play tight defense, on him and get physical, with him. I don't know what it is, whether he can't handle the physicality or he can't, handle being, guarded, as the Heat were guarding him, but it's just you expect, you know what I'm saying, better and more from these guys, particularly Tatum and Brown. And it's just frustrating that we're at this point where, you know, they should be playing like superstars every night and should be playing, you know, smarter and making better decisions and, you know, and playing at a high level, and they're just not. And it just really annoys me, really bothers me, and it just really irks me that we're not seeing that, you know, consistently from, you know, from these guys when in stretches of other games we've been able to see them play, you know, a lot better and a lot smarter than what they did on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's just, well, we've seen what they're capable of, right? And so, like, when you see a game like Saturday, you're like, man, if you guys showed up and played up to your expectations and what we know that you're capable of playing with, you're not in this situation. And a lot of it feels self-inflicted. You're absolutely right. You guys would fit right in at 98.5, by the way. Dude drops 46, and you're giving him shit. I love it. I love it. That's perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
I mean, what do you have, like 10 turnovers?
Oh, no, we talked about it earlier. The guy can't dribble right now. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. Yeah, other than when I play basketball. But, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it, man. Like, you're right, Barry. You know, we can't let that overshadow all the turnovers because that's really what – 19 steals, man.
It was nuts.
Like, that's absolutely
inexcusable, unacceptable.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
No, you're right. It is because that's just carelessness, and a lot of those, like you said, like go back to that game on that third quarter, and you're like, what the hell was that? Like these aren't forced errors. You know what I mean? A lot of the times, just playing sloppy and not taking care of the basketball. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Why do you think Adebayo had a bad game in game 2 versus game 3? Like bad game in game 2, but a very good game in game 3.
I think Theis is borderline unplayable, especially against bigs. Like I think Robert Williams. Look, I think Robert Williams gives you a little something. Certainly, if he was 100%, I think that kind of wipes it out. But like you saw in games 1 and games 2, you know, and I'm not saying that's all Robert Williams, but when you're able to throw other bodies at him, Williams, mix in Horford and stuff like that, that's fine. But if you're relying on Theis to play big minutes, you saw it in the bubble and you saw it in game 3. He's going to get eaten alive. It's just not playable. Not playable.
Yep, liability, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's barbecue chicken out there. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
The guy can't guard nobody. And
Yeah.
and when he does try to guard someone, he fouls them. It's like, I feel like, guys, we'd be better guarding somebody than Daniel Theis would. Like I get to a point where put me on the court. Like, I'll guard somebody better than him. It's like, bro, you like 6'9", 6'10", and you know, and it's like you have all that size and stuff, and it's like you can't stay in front of anybody. You can at least just like put your hands straight up and like not jump into anybody's body or just like stupidly foul people time and time again and easily get pump faked or easily, you know what I'm saying, get scored on or like or do these fouls where he just doesn't look like he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Like, he looks clueless. He looks lost out there. He looks absolutely lost. And like, I don't know how Ime Udoka and these guys trust him and put him out there and think he's gonna do, you know, a good job, or he's gonna at least be, you know, good enough to guard anyone, Bam Adebayo or anybody on the Heat. It blows my freaking mind. It really does. And I get Rob Williams didn't play in game 3, but you've got to, you know, do something else and not put him out there if he's, you know, doing that bad of a job defensively and he's just getting picked on. Like, Pritchard's doing better than him defensively, and Pritchard was getting picked on too, but at least it's not as bad to the extent as Theis. It's like, my goodness, guys, doesn't that piss you off? And be like, just get this guy out of the game and just bench him and not let him see the floor again, because he doesn't deserve the minutes that he's getting. He really doesn't.
I'm with you. When you say stuff like that, though, just know Tonight Theis will go off for like 35. You know, and we're gonna all need that.
Oh man,
I mean, who else
that
got to
would
play out
happen.
there?
That would happen.
You know, we can't put Luke out there, right? Kennard, like, oh my God, because
Cornette,
I have too many options.
Cornette.
Cornette, I said Kennard.
Yeah. No, he's not an option. No, like you got to hope that you can kind of like piece this thing together with Grant. You know, you obviously played Grant, Horford, and Rob Williams. The last, I don't know if you guys saw another update. I'm pretty sure the last one I saw was that he was going to give it a go tonight. So
He's gonna play. Thank God.
like 10 to 15 minutes. That's all you need. Like you don't need him to play.
That's all we need him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
Theis minutes.
Listen, just swat the ball from Bam a few times. He gets hesitant, and then you get out the game, you know? Because once you mess up his rhythm to start the game, he's just like a shell of himself or something, you know? And everything's just off for the rest of the game, man. And, you know, it's a shame because you see how Robert Williams affects the defense that we have, man. And it's like these guys are not getting anything.
Yeah.
You know, to drive it in. And when he's not out there, man, we seen what Adebayo did last game. You know, it's scary.
And I mean, I know we give Jimmy Butler, you know, I mean, especially here in Boston, I think we're like, Jimmy Butler, you know, he's good, but he's not that great. He shouldn't be beating us. But he's proven time and time again that he's the Heat's best player, and he can score 40 points almost at will if he, you know, as long as he's on the court, he can score almost whenever on the court. Do we focus on stopping him, or do we just let him get his and stopping everybody?
Yeah, like, look, I just look at it, and I don't think that guy individually is capable of, and I forget who, it might have been Ryan Russell, and I was listening to, and made a good point about it, where, like, when you kind of look at the landscape right now, and feels like Jimmy Butler couldn't be your best player on a championship team, but maybe we need to kind of readjust because there aren't any of those real true super teams right now. So maybe you can win with a guy that's just kind of gritty like Butler is. But to me, you know, if he goes off for 30 or 40 and you take care of business against other people, like, you're fine. And, like, you know, I know that he didn't play in that second half. Like, Bam goes off in that game, you still, like, I don't know if they have enough firepower, period, to beat you if there aren't self-inflicted mistakes by the Celtics. And so that's why I just clean it up on your end, and you're going to be fine. I don't necessarily know that there needs to be a situation where, like, we can't let X beat us. I think you have enough where, you know, Butler could go off and you're still capable of winning this game. Like, you know, if Giannis or like a Durant got hot or something like that, you'd be like, oh, we're screwed. There's no point. Like, in this situation, I don't necessarily think the ceiling is there for Miami, where if they were playing their best basketball, they should win. They should take care of business. So we'll see what happens. Tonight's a must-win game for the Celtics. I think you're kind of screwed if you're going back to Miami down 3-1. So you know, I'm super confident if this series is tied up at 2, that the Celtics win it. If they lose tonight, I think you're in a lot of trouble. They've answered the bell every time their backs have been up against the wall this postseason, so I would expect them to do the same. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm concerned because we're getting banged up out there, man. You know, Michael Smart with that ankle. You know, first he had the thigh situation. You know, but I mean, it's really no excuse because you got 37-year-old PJ Tucker playing out there on one leg and shutting down your top.
Kyle Lowry,
like, you know, they're hurt too, and it's like we should be able to do this. And you know, going back to the Jimmy Butler thing, man, he's just like a hard-nosed player, man, and super efficient. You know, and he doesn't even look like he's going, you know, top speed out there. And he's still putting the ball in the hoop, you know. And guys like Jason Tatum, he's 6'10", and you still can't, you know, get a shot block on Jimmy Butler, man. I think he's very frustrating to play.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. I give him a ton of credit. It's one of those guys that we never really talk about and put in the conversation with some of these other superstars. But, I mean, think about it. Like, this dude is 2 games away from taking his team to the finals 2 out of 3 years. That's
pretty good.
It's pretty impressive. You know, so say what you will about Butler, but I mean, those are kind of facts. So it's hard to knock him because it's definitely not someone that I kind of think of when you talk about that upper echelon. But again, if you're getting to the finals 2 out of the last 3 years, you're doing something right, no doubt.
A couple, when we were in the bubble, one of the things I said was that exposure was gonna coach his way around Brad Stevens, and I don't think that's gonna happen to Ime Udoka. But how do you think coaching is gonna come into the rest of the series and putting the guys in situation to win? And also, do you think Ime Udoka has a role to play in getting Tatum going on the nights that he's not going?
Yeah, no, like I think that you just look at, and I think like defensively, it kind of shows you the buy-in that these guys have and that he's capable of pushing the right buttons, because that wasn't the case like with Brad Stevens. As much as I loved him, felt like those guys didn't necessarily have that buy-in, and certainly not on the defensive end. So I think that kind of edge that the Celtics have played with in the second half of the season, I credit to him and being able to kind of push those buttons. So I would expect that he's going to be able to do that. And you're right, like, yeah, you see it too. Like, he definitely tries. You remember that ISO shot? And I'm trying to remember what game. It might have been game 1 against Milwaukee, when in the third, I think it was the third quarter, and Milwaukee went on a run. He calls a timeout, and he's like walking out, and he's like, "What the fuck are we doing?" Like, right to like Tatum and Brown, and I'm like, all right, that's like that. I love stuff like that. And so yeah, he definitely needs to be involved in terms of like the coaching mismatches. I think Spoelstra's one of the best. If not the best coach probably in the NBA. But I don't think it's like substantial. I don't think I don't think that's a huge mismatch. He might have stolen them a game. I love that they just kind of, they turned it into bully ball in game 3. And so if you're him, I feel like that's one of the only cards you can play. And it certainly worked. It's just kind of now up to the Celtics to match that intensity. Don't turn the ball over. And you should be okay. But again, I just think from a talent perspective, like you go back to the bubble and like, yeah, it was kind of disappointing that they didn't win that series. I thought they were more talented at the time than Miami for sure. But you could kind of make the argument either way. I don't think you can do that now. I think Celtics are head and shoulders better than Miami. That's why this would be so disappointing if they actually blew this, because I thought this was a done deal. I really did.
No, I agree with you. After watching game 1, I also called it a 5-game series just because I just thought, we're missing Smart and we're missing Harvard, and I was like,
coming off the game 7 too, like you're coming off of just
and I was like, oh, we playing like that? Oh, I think we got this, and I did not expect a loss in game 3. So we have to win tonight. I'm not taking anything but a win tonight. If we don't win tonight, I don't know. I'm gonna have a real hard time watching the rest of the series. Obviously, I'm gonna watch.
Then you have to win 2 out of 3 in Miami, right? So that's a tough ask. That's a tough ask.
And Jimmy Butler is gonna get those guys going. If they're 3-1, Jimmy Butler is gonna be like, "Bruh, we're 3 we have to finish it." And that Miami culture, I think, is gonna come out then.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask a little bit about the Western Conference series. It looks like it's almost over now. Do you think those guys still won game or not, or what do you think?
No, I think it's done. I love Luka. He's a stud. I love the swagger he plays with. I think he's great. But yeah, Golden State's legit. And I love it's just such a weird mix, right? Because you have like Draymond, Steph, Clay, obviously not the Clay that we remember, but still he's in the mix. But that roster too, like there's some weird pieces. Like you forget that Wiseman's eventually going to be in the mix. Kuminga, I think, is going to be a stud moving forward. Like you've got this blend, and it's kind of Celtics-y-ish, where you've got veterans from back in the day, and then you've got this young crew kind of coming up on that roster too. And it's pretty wild to see. They did a great job kind of hitting a rebuild here, and it's going to be an interesting blend over the next few years. It's kind of like what the Celtics were trying to do, when Steph Curry's your leader instead of Kyrie Irving. I guess the locker room is probably a little more pleasant for everyone, right? You can probably get guys to buy in a little more than when Kyrie's your guy. But I just think it's cool to see a team like that where like Durant walks out, leaves, and again, I know that they were a championship caliber team before, but still, like you've got these veterans, but now you've got these younger pieces kind of coming up as well. And like I said, I think Kuminga is going to be a star. I don't know about you guys. I think eventually, I know it's not his time right now, but if you watch it all, excuse me, in the regular season, the freak. Guy's a freak. So, that team's going to be in the mix for a while. But I still think the Celtics should win the championship. I've been saying it for like a few months. Like, the Celtics can win the championship. I know that sounds ridiculous, and it sounded ridiculous a few months ago, but like, it is there for them. It is absolutely there for them. They can win the title, no doubt about it. So again, when you're in a position where you can do it, like, you got to take advantage, because you don't know what the future holds. Like, what happens if all of a sudden, like, next year, Jalen blows out his knee, and then all of a sudden, Tatum wants to team up with someone else, and he wants out in 2 or 3 days. And I'm not saying this is going to happen, but like, if the opportunity is there, take advantage of it, man. And you're good enough, and you've been around long enough now where you absolutely are capable of doing it. So, yeah, I really hope they don't blow this series with Miami. I'm still confident, but you're right. If they go down 3-1, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. Yeah.
Shoot, I think.
Yep, definitely. It's over. If they go down 3-1, it's over. And, I'm totally with you guys on what you've been saying. It's like, yeah, they have to win tonight. We have to see some sort of, sense of urgency, and we have to see them, get off to a really good start and, impose their will, because Miami's been, imposing their will. Well, they imposed their will on Saturday, and, and embarrass them just like we embarrassed them in game 2. So it's like, we got to, be able to bounce back and be able to, be able to play a full 48 minutes, all gas, no brakes, don't take your foot off the gas pedal, and be able to, execute and, and really, play, our style of basketball and dictate, and control the pace of the game like we've been doing in the games that we won. This would also be a missed opportunity, badly missed opportunity, because this is a golden opportunity for them to be able to, win the championship or at least get to the finals this year. So I feel like this definitely would be extremely disappointing, and I feel like this team, I don't know what y'all think, they would have underachieved if they don't win this series and make the final.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think right now you should be a title. You should be in the mix for the finals. And if you fall out in the Eastern Conference, again, like, you lose to LeBron when Tatum's a rookie and Jalen is second year, and there's no Kyrie or Gordon Hayward, I get it, right? And the bubble, again, you guys seem a little higher on that team than I was, but like, understandable, disappointing, but understandable. This, I don't think that there's a legit excuse if you lose to this Miami team. I really don't. I don't.
I
There's
think
none. There's none at all. Absolutely none. Like, it's inexcusable for them to lose this series and lose out on an opportunity to make the finals and compete for an NBA championship. Like, it's time for them to finally, be able to come through and get over the hump and get to an NBA finals and make an appearance. Like, this team is too good and has done too much in this playoff run to just come up short and, and fall under pressure and not be able to make a finals again after, beating who they beat and after accomplishing what they accomplished and, the previous 2 series and being in a series where they should be able to win and should, be able to, could come out on top and be able to finally break through. Like, that, it would be, a pretty bad and big failure if they don't do that. But I don't know, guys, what you think about this. I don't know if we can beat Golden State if we get to the finals. I'm starting to get really concerned that even if we make the finals, I don't know if we really have what it takes just yet, and if we're good enough and and ready to beat a team like the Golden State Warriors, who's a well-oiled machine and clicking on all cylinders and just absolutely dominating and is a powerhouse to say the least. That I don't think the Celtics are
Tim
quite
McCone,
ready to be able to beat that the Golden State Warriors the way that they're looking right now.
Tim McCone think that we can beat them.
I do. Like, look, Wiggins defensively is nice, right? That's a nice piece for him, no doubt. But you can hunt Clay at this point athletically. You can hunt Clay. You saw that Poole, and I think Poole has been like a revelation for them this year.
He's been amazing, great.
But you can hunt him too. Like there are some matchups there that you could exploit. And again, Wiggins is a nice piece. Obviously, Draymond defensively and everything like that. But yeah, I think you could score. The problem is, like, if you're turning the ball over against Golden State, they're going to make you pay. Like, so you can't play like you do against Miami and against Milwaukee with some of these turnovers, because you do that, Steph's going to hit a 30-footer in your face, and you're going to be down 35 in the first quarter. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you were down 25 to the Heat after the first quarter. You're down 40 against Golden State if you play like that. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
And you're not
that was a great point by you, though, Barry. Quickly, like, the fact that they were able to overcome Brooklyn and get past Durant and Kyrie and all those guys, like, it just felt like the momentum of this postseason has kind of been building, where I think that's part of the disappointment too. Like, you top the champs, you beat the Giannis and those guys, you beat Brooklyn, the team that embarrassed you last year. So that's why it just feels like it's been building this thing, which is why, again, I think it could kind of feel like a missed opportunity.
I think I'm with Tim, man. I think the Celtics are the only team left in the postseason that can beat the Golden State Warriors. I think everybody else, Golden State's just going to come out. I think we're the only team left with the right amount of length, the right type of defense, and the scores to be able to keep up, with a Golden State. You know what I'm saying? And it just sucks, that. Well, I mean, I don't want to speak too prematurely, you know what I'm saying? I'm hoping we get out of this dang series, if we do, hopefully we get our guys healthy, a bit more healthy than they are. But, they need to make it happen, that Miami's not going to give it to them.
Yeah, no, for
no,
sure.
They're certainly not.
Yeah.
They're certainly not. And, I hear what you guys are saying, but I don't know, like, Golden State still scares me. I get Klay Thompson's not what he was before the injuries, but he's still a damn good shooter and can shoot the lights out. I mean, Jordan Poole is another great, scorer and a guy that can flat out get buckets and can give you 30 to 35 on any night. And then we already know what Steph Curry is. I mean, he's the best shooter ever, in my opinion. And get even going against Marcus Smart. Well, particularly now since Marcus Smart's not healthy, I still feel, he's going to get his, but I don't know. It just, scares you the way those guys can shoot the ball and the way and how great they are offensive. And then I haven't even mentioned Andrew Wiggins, who's an all-star and who's playing at a, high level as well and stuff. And it just seems to me that, I don't know, I think maybe their depth's a little bit too much for the Celtics. Even as great as they are defensively, I feel as though even when they put their second unit out there, it's still, better than what the Celtics would put out. And it's still something that I don't know if we're ready to overcome that. Just or have have enough to overcome, what they have from a point and from a depth standpoint. So, I mean, let's work. Obviously, we have to handle business against the Heat and finish this series. But if we get to that point, we'll see what happens. But I'm definitely worried and concerned about, that matchup with Golden State. But, Tim, I just wanted to ask you, I had this on my mind is, who would you have in your top 5 NBA all time? Like, who's on that list for you?
All time or right now?
All time.
That was Barry's last question.
Yeah, that was my question. Yes, sir.
All right. My all-time – well, I'm from Worcester, I'm in Worcester right now, so I got to throw my guy Bob Cousy on. Otherwise, I won't make it. So my guy Cousy's on the top
God.
No, my top 5. Oh man, that's so tough.
Okay, good. Cool's in there. All right.
No, you have to go. I mean, Jordan, obviously. I mean, I can't believe it, but like you have to say LeBron's in your top 5. Man, this is tough. I see. This is a question I wish you have to throw Bill Russell in there. So 3. I got 2 more. I'm gonna leave somebody off right now. I'll go. This is brutal question, man. You got to give me a heads up if you're gonna do this. Kareem.
I know it's a tough question, man.
I know Kareem's gonna be in there. He was a freak. And then, oh man, it's probably you got to either say Bird or Magic, right? I'll go Bird, I guess. But do I feel great about that? Probably not. Yeah, I guess I'll throw Bird in there. But man, that's tough. That's tough. I'll give you my top 5 UConn players all day. We can do that list. Yeah.
That's true. I'll even give you an honor. You know what I'm saying? Since it is tough to come up with the top 5 all-time NBA players. So if there's anyone you want to put for your honorable mention, feel free to do so.
Hold on. Let me look at this real quick. You guys, what's your top 5? What's your top 5?
My top 5?
Yeah. Who do you have?
I'm gonna go Jordan.
Yep.
I got LeBron in there. I got Shaq in there. I got Stockton in there. And I'm gonna go Bird.
Yeah. I actually feel good about my list. I'm sticking with my list. Yeah. I'm sticking with my list. Yeah. I think look, Bill Russell. But I think you have to go Bill Russell. You had to have Russell in there. So
he was playing early, and they had like 13 teams in there. I don't know. So I'm like,
I know, I get that, but when you're talking about like Stockton too, it feels like, and I know that he didn't play that long ago, but I just like him trying to guard like John Morant. I can't.
Just like some of his records, assists is like wow.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I'm like, how?
Yeah. It's
he was like our height doing all this stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
But Tim, I think we've had you on for a while. I think the last question, right? You said you had Celtics in 5. We'll give you a chance to redeem yourself. Do you have a new prediction now, right here on Pro Fan Sports Podcast?
Celtics in 6. I think. Look, I think if they don't play, if they don't turn the ball over. They don't turn the ball over the way that they have. If they play to their capabilities, they should take care of business. Like game 2, you saw. I think they're head and shoulders better than them. So don't play like morons, and I think they're going to be fine. So yeah, I think the Celtics are the better team. I think Miami stole one in game 3. I think the Celtics now respond here and end it in 3 straight games. I think that you win tonight, go down to Miami, win it, come back to Boston, over.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Which means that the Heat will win in 5.
Yes, I agree with that. Absolutely.
No. With the Heat.
Oh man, no, Tim, don't say that, bro. We don't need those kind of vibes and that kind of energy on here, bro. Like, nah, don't mention that, man. We don't want to hear that. But I agree with you. My prediction was Celtics in 6 before this series, and I'm gonna stick to that as well. And Tim, at least you won't shouldn't feel as bad as me, because I came on here last week and was on the record guaranteeing that the Celtics would win this series. I even said that would be a B-money guarantee that the Celtics would win this series. So if they don't feel as bad about your prediction as mine, because I came on the record saying guaranteeing that we get past this series. So if anybody's gonna feel bad if the Celtics don't win, it should be B Money himself.
There you go.
All right, Tim, man, it's been a pleasure to have you back on the show, man. We really appreciate you coming back. Thanks for your time, and hopefully we enjoy this game. We all enjoy this game tonight. So go Celtics, man. You have a good night.
Yeah, go Celtics. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. Like I said, off the year, I've been watching what you guys have been doing. It's been unbelievable. You guys have grown this thing into a monster. So pumped for you guys, excited, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Have a good night.
Awesome. See ya. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, talk to you later.
Have a good
All
night.
right, we'll see you.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. Good seeing you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, man. So that was Tim Mckone from 98.5 The Sports Hub. You're still watching. Make sure you're following Tim Mckone, man. He's on Twitter doing his thing. 98.5 doing his thing on there as well. Make sure you're following us on social media as well. We have Profan Sports on everything. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, all right, commenting on these videos, sharing these videos. That's the best way you can support. And make sure you're following us on Instagram, and that's at profans_sports on Instagram. So until the next episode, man, go Celtics, and we out.